Hello, this is Cotton Stoops and welcome back to another HTUC video, and today's video is on Deludrix. Deludrix is one of the strongest Lumions in the game and frankly quite a pain to fight, so why not talk about it. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to use and counter Deludrix. The counters and checks and teammates that you'll need to know in order to use Deludrix in battles, as well as the base stats, the roles, and of course the offensive coverage and sets that you'll need to know for using any type of Deludrix. Today's video is all about how to use and counter Deludrix. So the role that Deludrix plays is an essential question to ask, and we can answer this question with the base stats. The base stats are really simple here, with your bad stats being your HP and defenses. These are one of the lowest combinations of defense for any single Lumion. No offense, but for any offensive Lumion as well. So this is really bad for Deludrix. This would mean that Deludrix would love to get pivoted in, or at least getting the double swap in so it can get in the battle without taking damage. This is also mean that it's prone to any type of damage, while Deludrix can live a hit or two because obviously this defense doesn't really make it so it gets one shot by everything. This is still a really hard stat for Deludrix to work with. You do have a decent energy stat of 80. It's not on par with the starters and you need a lot more energy to get up to 250, but this is not too big of an issue because we're not running any sort of heavy items with this energy stat. And our melee attack stat of 109 is actually really nice. This does give Deludrix the opportunity to run mixed, however, it's not really that viable, but do note that probably in future metagames, Deludrix might be able to use this stat. But the main stats you want to watch out for is its speed stat of 94 and range attack of 122. Its speed stat is just shy of Vesperatu's, Namare's, Teclipse's, Wintrix's, and Ikazune's, but it does outspeed other Lumions such as Valkyrie, Eruptodon, Borak, and some other wall breakers and walls that you can outspeed naturally, which is always pretty good. And your range attack stat of 122, this is a lower than Valkyrie's a little bit, but this is still a good range attack stat to have, as this lets you hit naturally hard, which is always very good. So the role that Deludrix plays, it can be a great range cleaner or sweeper. I wouldn't really try to use it as a sweeper with setup because its defenses are too low, but it does have the speed tier and the range attack to make it work. And it does have the options to be mixed, not in this metagame, but in future metagames it does have that ability to. And of course, it does have a decent speed tier, however, it will need to get pivoted in or double swap in due to its defenses. You can also lead Deludrix, which is a pretty common occurrence in this metagame due to the moveset it has that I'll be talking about later. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's talk about the offensive coverage for Deludrix. So Deludrix's offensive coverage is water and bug as for its stabs, and 8 types resists one of these coverages, those being water, spirit, ancient fire, bug, metal, brawler, and that's pretty much it. Air types, they're not really an issue because you do have the coverage for those, as well as metal types, which is obviously pretty good. This goes for water and fire types, so there isn't really big issues here. Brawler types, most of them are offensive, and while they do have priority, you can take the 1v1 on them, which is always pretty good. And the only ones that you really have to watch out defensive wise is, I guess, metal types, but that's because they have secondary typings that will help be able to be at least resisted or neutral to your moveset. Anyways, 6 hits types, you hit these super effectively. Fire types such as Ikazune is really good to hit super effectively. You also can get the jump on Sirenites and Pyrolins, which is always nice. Electric types, they are mostly offensive, but you can try to hit electric types such as Halventic and Metatoad super effectively. Zulong, I'm pretty sure you can't because it is ancient type, so you are neutral to it. And earth types, Borak is really good one offensive wise to hit, as well for defensive wise. Tyrex and Setamars, they're really good earth types to take advantage of. You can also swap in because you do have the defensive type on your advantage because bug does resist it, so that is a plus that Deludrix can go for. I wouldn't try swapping it on a Borok, but possibly Setamars or Tyrex because they're quote-unquote less offensive, which is always nice. Plant types, you also have the same case here. Well, actually no, because you are neutral to those, but there aren't really a lot of plant types in this metagame you could take advantage of. Only Chartiki and possibly Tatab if they're not running boots, so you can't do that. Dark types, such as Vesperatu, you can hit those super effectively, as well as the Clips. And finally, Mind types, such as Ferroglyph, Shachi, and Cosmeor forms. They're always great Mind types to hit super effectively. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the offensive set for Deludrix. So, Deludrix is going to be running a Boots Zip Zap set. Zip Zap plus Douse means that Deludrix doesn't get its Zip Zap absorbed. This means quite a bit of things. So, this gives you free momentum on your team, so you can just predict any swap. The opponent, no matter what they go into, unless it's like an Earth type and they predict your Zip Zap or a Lightning Rod user, you're going to get momentum free and get a Lumion of your choice in. This is really good for keeping up the pressure because your opponent, no matter what they do, you're gonna get the upper hand on them because they're just gonna swap in on one of the Lumions that counters the offensive Lumion, or at least checks it, which is always very good. This is really good for offensive style teams, which will give you an idea of what teams Deludrix fits on. Your ability of choice will be Aqua Body. You can run Shakedown. I've said this in my videos about Deludrix and such. But Aqua Body, it helps you with fire types. You already do resist, but this will help you immensely more. You can swap in on Chartikis, Pyrolins, and Searnites a bit more. So that's always very good. And if you do not have the time to run Aqua Body, which is perfectly fine, it's a Boots Zip Zap set. You're not going to be taking hits a lot. You might as well run something like Shakedown to predict their items. You can also have the potential to get Vivid Sight because it is getting that weather setting ability soon, said by Jamie, so that's always nice. That can be your ability of choice, but Aqua Body is just the best one on all Deludrixes, but not far off from Shakedown. Your personality of choice will be Frail, Tender, Very Smart. Tender is because we're not going to be taking too much hits, let alone any type of hit with Deludrix. Frail because we're not using any melee attack, sadly. We do not have the melee attack coverage to warrant mixed Deludrix. And we have the Very Smart personality because we're going to be running boots, so hitting as hard as possible while running boots, and we're always clicking Zip Zap every turn. It makes sense that why we would want to hit as hard as possible. Your personalities can alternate between Nimble and Very Nimble. However, most of the things above you are running Nimble, such as Ikazune with boots, Tatab's running that as well, Namar and Vesperatu, they're running Nimble, so Very Smart seems like the way to go here because unless you don't run Nimble and run like Very Nimble, you're not going to be outspeeding those even with boots, so it's a bit of a problem there. You do have your moveset of choice here. This will be Douse, Jetstream, Ferroblast, and Zip Zap. This will let us hit as much Lumions as possible. Jetstream is mainly here so we can hit bug types that would want to swap in on us. You can also hit some other stuff super effectively, which is always pretty good. You can hit Brawler type super effectively with this, so that's also nice. Douse and Ferroblast are our two main stabs, and Zip Zap is here for pivoting. Douse and Zip Zap is mainly the moves you want to click, and if you do have to resort to Ferroblast and Jetstream in the late game, go do so. And finally, our item of choice won't be the Clutch Plushie. You want to run Boots on this, but Clutch Plushie is an alternative. Boots is obviously the best one, but Clutch Plushie, if you are a little less competent in Boots plays, you can run Clutch Plushie. And our TPs of choice here, 84 energies, 250 energy. This will let us use 5 Zip Zaps, and 200 reach attack and 200 speed is going to max out our more important stats, and 16 HP is the leftovers. So let's talk about the counters and checks and teammates for Deludrix now that we're done with the set. So Deludrix doesn't really have quote-unquote counters because it just Zip Zap all off of pretty much anything. So defensive wise, you just want to run stuff that is pretty range bulky and doesn't mind its coverage. So most of these guys are going to be neutral to Deludrix. Vanillin and Oxydrake are going to be your best ones because they have recovery and they do have some outside utility. Actually, Icicle is probably a little bit better than Oxydrake right now, but that's just my opinion. Because these guys are so range bulky and they can hit Deludrix hard, or they can provide some sort of utility. That's always nice. And as for our other options, Icicle is here because most Icicles run clever because they can somewhat deal with Gargolem and somewhat deal with Deludrix, which is always pretty nice. And Wobbusk here is clever. I wouldn't really try to run Wobbusk because it doesn't have the recovery to beat Deludrix on like just forever. So Wobbusk is a decent option, but I wouldn't rely on this if you're looking for a Deludrix answer. And offensive counters or checks in this case, you want to run priority users if you don't have the boots or Lumians to outspeed it. Lumians such as Ursol and Desperatu, they're going to be your best priority users to use. And as for Lumians that can outspeed it, Ikazune, Tatab, and Zulang all naturally outspeed it. However, if you want to run boots Ikazune, if you think they're going to be running nimble boots, go do that. Tatab's also here, just running the boots if you are worried about different Deludrix personalities, but these guys should already defaultly outspeed it. And as for our offensive and defensive teammates, there's not really a lot of stuff that you'd want to run defensive wise because pivots is the name of the game here if you want to utilize defensive ones with Deludrix. But particularly, I would take advantage of Deludrix's Zip Zap and bring in strong offensive Lumians that can help it out. Gargolem Attack and Tatab are what I mainly use with Deludrix because I use Deludrix in more offensive based teams, and because Zip Zap is so good, I can just bring these guys in for free, which is always nice. Anyways, Gargolem Attack, Tatab, they're really good offensive wise, they're really strong, and they do outspeed a lot, which can help with the revenge killing that might happen with Deludrix. So that's also pretty good. Ikazune and Shachi, along with these guys, are not as fast, but they do hit those walls that Deludrix is weak to very well. And Seer Knight's also here because it's kind of on the same boat as Ikazune, can also set up hazards. Speaking of hazards, hazards will probably be very good, so you can run hazard setters such as Gobademic, Gargolem Speed, and Gargolem Defense. So that's also nice. You can also try running Wobbusk hazards. And of course Luminami because you want to run pivoting. However, you can choose other options such as Icicle and Your Snack if you're looking for something different. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the conclusion and my thoughts on Deludrix. So it is no surprise that Deludrix is one of the best Lumians in the game currently. In my opinion, it's probably the best water type other than maybe Cephalops, but that's just a maybe. Deludrix just provides so much with just 2 moves basically. I've memed a lot on what Douse Zip Zap Deludrix or just pure Zip Zap, but it really just goes to show how good Deludrix is in terms of its offensive wise. Jamie really did go overboard with Zip Zap. Some final thoughts I want to add here. You can run Thunderstrike over Jetstream if you want to have more comfortable matchups against opposing water types. Let's say you don't have a plant electric type on your team and Deludrix is the only one that can hit plant types, or not plant types, but a water type super effectively. I guess you can, but Jetstream overall is just going to be better for hitting as much Lumians as possible, which is your main goal for an offensive Lumian. So, if you enjoyed the video, like the video of course, and of course subscribe if you're into more of these kind of videos. I will be remaking old Meta Lumians for HTUCs, and possibly be making new ones for more new Lumians, and of course montage videos for any sort of Lumian that you'd want. So recommend those Lumians down below, and of course join the Discord server, and remember that Zulang is still a dumpster fire.